ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਲਬਰਟਾ ਦੇ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਐਡਰੀਨਾ ਲੈਗਰਾਂਜ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਨੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਐਕਸਕਲੂਸਿਵ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਏਗੀ। Good evening, Minister.
Good evening.
Welcome in the Focus Punjabi show.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
My first question is regarding your UCP campaign. So during your UCP campaign, you said that you will have a choice in the Education Act. What is that? Can you tell me?
Having choice in the Education Act?
Yeah.
Yes, that was something that we heard very strongly from the people of Alberta, that they really value the choices that we have here in Alberta. We have an opportunity for students to attend public schools, Catholic schools, Francophone schools, charter schools, private independent schools, and of course also homeschooling as well.
Recently, you have consultations with the people. How was the response?
The response was tremendous. We have a long, proud history of choice in Alberta, over 100 years, and we had over 50,000 people respond to our surveys or attend one of our in-person sessions.
Mm-hmm. So, some people criticize this.
Well, you know what, I don't understand those that criticized it because of the fact that we do have a very strong history of choice. We heard very loudly through our campaign period that people really value the choices that we have in Alberta. We have an excellent education system, world-renowned, and we feel in large part because of the choices that Albertans have to choose the education they want for their children. Part of the Choice in Education Act is really reinforcing that parents are the primary educators of their children and that they have the choice to make as to where they want their children to attend.
Before the UCP budget, your government promised to enroll 15,000 enrollments in the Alberta schools, but you didn't fulfill the promise.
We did fulfill the promise. We funded every single student that attended one of our schools. There was base funding for every single student that was in the school program. We did take 3 grants and rolled them into funding enrollment growth. And so every single student that crossed our doors had full base funding.
Calgary School Board says that they have shortfall of 32 million budget. So what do you want to comment on that? And a lot of jobs are going because of that.
Well, the Calgary Board of Education before Christmas came forward and said that they were going to lay off 300 teachers. I found that totally unacceptable, given that they did not come to the department and ask for some assistance in looking at their numbers. Obviously, they were able themselves to find the dollars to keep those students. And, you know, I very much feel that it was a political ploy to try and influence the government, influence my department. And that is why I called for a governance review and a financial audit, which I'm anticipating receiving by the end of the month here, if not early February.
So regarding the audit, why did you need the audit for that? Is there a discrepancy?
Well, there is a history. Calgary Board of Education has a history of reckless spending. And given this type of what I would call very unconscionable decision prior to Christmas to lay off teachers, that was their first go-to. They didn't approach any other options other than laying off teachers. When they have a $1.2 billion budget for 120 to 130,000 students, that was very concerning to me. And it just seemed to be another reckless decision by a board that has had a long history of these reckless decisions. So I really felt it was necessary to get down to the root cause of what's happening in that school division. It is my largest school division in the province at a $1.2 billion budget, just to see where things are at.
When the audit report is expected?
I'm expecting it by the end of January here. And I'm hoping that it will make recommendations on how we can help the Calgary Board of Education to manage their finances.
You offered some assistance to the Calgary Board, and that financially help was refused anyhow. Is that correct?
Yes. Early on, I had offered the ability for flexibility in the IMR funding, and they chose not to accept that, and they chose not to reach out to my department for further assistance to help them manage their finances.
Alberta Teacher Association says that the UCP government is hijacking their pension plans.
That is incorrect, misinformation. The Treasury Board made a decision, which they were able to do, was within their purview to do. And what the decision did was just really to allocate the company that is going to manage the funds. The ATRF, which is the ATA, along with government officials that actually oversee the spending of the account, etc. Everything stays the same. It was just the management company that was chosen.
When the new public school is coming in the Edmonton East?
That is a good question. And every school division across the province is right now putting forward their capital plans, their requests. The way the system works is that every school division puts forward a capital plan, a 3-year capital plan on what are their highest priorities, and they submit it to the department, and then my department goes through and really assesses the needs. And from there, we choose the schools that are necessary. Of course, we're going into a budget period, so we will be waiting to hear what our budget allocations are for capital expenditures.
Recently, you announced the funding model review. With that, the students with the disabilities are unhappy because their funding may be cut off.
Well, that is premature to say something like that. I can absolutely assure you and assure all of your viewers that the PUF funding, which the program unit funding for our most vulnerable students, will be an integral part. It's a very important part of my new funding framework that is coming out, my new funding formula.
What are the various challenges which you are facing in your department as a minister?
Of course, the challenges are many because we have 720,000 students in Alberta in the K-12 system. So ensuring that every single student gets an absolutely excellent education, that we continue to look at what we are doing well and where we can improve. We have the curriculum, a new curriculum that we are working on. We have growing school divisions, but we also have areas where school divisions are shrinking. So the new funding formula that we're bringing forward is definitely going to provide for sustainable, predictable funding, but also help those school divisions that are suffering losses, and as well as those that are growing extensively.
So in the end, in brief, what do you want to say to our listeners?
I just want to say that we have an absolutely amazing, excellent education system. We value the teachers that are in front of our children. We thank you to the parents for putting their faith in education, public education in Alberta. We have an excellent, strong public education system that will remain strong, and we're going to make it better.
Thank you, Minister, for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much.